Hey guys, it's Martin from Voyager Project here for part 2 of my quest for tone. In this session we're going to look at the humble plectrum and the sort of different sounds that we get from the picks. Now if you don't use a pick, this may not apply to you. If you use your thumb or your fingers, that's fine. But it's amazing the difference that different picks can make. I originally started out, as many guitarists do, with whatever they could get their hands on. For the first few years it was whatever picks someone would give me or I found lying around. I don't have any of those early picks, but I know I used Fender picks for a while. I used those enormous Gibson triangle things for a while, and just anything I could play. I also used those strange shark fin things that I've never used since. I don't think I've even seen since, but they were really floppy. And then I used a Dunlop Big Stubby that was very fat sounding. I also tried some metal picks. I can't remember who made them. I remember seeing them advertised in Guitarist magazine and I thought, hey, they sound cool, let's try them. Didn't like them. They sort of metal used to flake dust off in your hands. You'd get covered in black dust. Not really what I wanted to deal with. So about, I would say, 12 years ago, I started using 1mm nylon picks, and the ones I found were made by D'Andrea in the US and they were called Brights. And here is one. This is one of only 2 I have left, and they're a normal size and shape pick. They're nylon, and they sound pretty good and they feel pretty good. That's with my pretty much clean sound with my full-tone catalyst on, and a bit of sort of panning delay at the end. So, what didn't I like about these picks? Well, to be honest, at the time, there wasn't anything I didn't like about them, except that the edges do get a little bit furred up, particularly if you're doing pick slides, which in the early 90s was kind of what we were doing. Early to mid 90s, I guess, and they do fade. The biggest problem I had with these was that I managed to lose them all in 2002 due to an unfortunate incident. And I couldn't find them again. The shop that I used to buy these from went out of business. Never found any D'Andrea Brights 1mm since. So around that time I started to look at, well, what are my favourite guitar players using? And I moved on to the ubiquitous 0.88mm green Tortex Jim Dunlop pick that I believe James Hetfield from Metallica was using. The green, they're not as shiny, so they're a bit easier to grip. I use these for a long time, as you can probably see. This is the best one I could find, best example, and almost all the graphic has worn off it. They're supposed to simulate tortoiseshell. I've never played a tortoiseshell pick, so I can't comment. They're a little bit warmer sounding, so they don't have quite as much high end. But they've got a little bit of flex in them that I wasn't too keen on. Just felt like I was fighting the pick a little bit. Works fine for playing heavy rhythm stuff, but if I wanted to play any lead or strumming anything particular, they just weren't as responsive as I particularly liked. So after a couple of years, well, a few years probably, I was on a bit of a Joe Satriani sort of kick. I had, as well as the guitar, I had the amp and all that kind of stuff. And then Planet Waves brought out the Joe Satriani plectrums, which, by lucky coincidence, were 1mm nylon picks. Here we have one, a white one, JS Heavy from Planet Waves, with the crazy graphics on the back. This one's a bit battered, it's obviously been used for pick sliding. So yeah, slightly brighter sounding again. They're a bit firmer than the Tortex, so they don't have quite as much flex in them. Still a little bit of flex. For some reason though, doing pick slides and stuff, they get chewed up a lot. They also split, which I didn't like. And at the time I was playing in a metal band called Fallen Angel, playing lots of covers, lots of Metallica and Maiden and stuff like that. And they just weren't giving me the response I wasn't able to articulate as well as I would want. So, the other guitarist in the band, a guy called Cliffe, great guitar player in the Stoke-on-Trent area, said, "Why don't you try one of these?" And he gave me a Jim Dunlop Jazz 3, the red one. They're small, they're slightly pointy, they're really thick, they're like 1.38mm I think. So I gave it a go, thinking I'll never like this. I've always played standard size picks. But what this gave me was, I found it much easier to play quickly. The other thing that I would say about this pick is it was the pick that helped me to develop my chicken picking, or hybrid picking style at least. Because it's not as big in your hand, you can tuck it in much more easily, and I therefore found that I could get my middle finger in action as well. So that is something that started developing kind of coincidentally, but that was that pick. But I was never absolutely happy with this pick. Again, because it was a little bit flexible. So what I went on to was the same pick, but in black, because black's cool. No, seriously. The black picks are made of a material called Stiffo, whatever that is. They're a little bit coarser on the design. The point seems to hold a little bit better, and they don't flex as much. So that helped my articulation even more. And I would probably have been happy sticking to black Jazz 3s for the rest of my career. Until January this year. It's strange how things happen. I should say, up to this point, all these picks have been the ones I've used for playing electric guitar. I didn't play a lot of acoustic, so that wasn't really that relevant. But I do sometimes use a pick playing bass, and I didn't use these picks for playing bass. We'll go on to that in a second. As I say, come January this year, where am I? I'm in California at the NAMM show with RJM Music Technology. And a guy comes over to our booth from one of the other booths and starts chatting to us. It turns out he's from V-Picks, who are a small company that make picks out of kind of Perspex material, and says, "Here, have a couple of these, try them." Absolutely free, no strings attached. So, one of the ones he gave me was this, which you may not be able to see at all because it's clear Perspex. It is a V-Pick small ULP, which I learnt later stands for ultra light pointed. Now this is a little bit, again, it's a little bit flexible. It's thinner than the Jazz 3. What it does have though is 3 points rather than just one. It's a kind of triangular shaped pick. So I thought I'll give it a go. I recorded some of the parts on the new album with this pick. In particular, there's a little bit in a song called The Elder Son. where I had to play this really fast repeated line that's something like and I found having the really flexible pick with the points really helped me get a grip on that. The other unexpected thing of it, for me at least, although it is how they advertise it, is something weird about this material, that when you sweat, when your hands get warm, it becomes easier to grip. Unlike the nylon picks, when you sweat on it with a nylon pick, the pick becomes slippy. So they become easier to grip. But it was too flexible, wasn't happy with it. So what I did, I thought, I like this idea, what else do they offer? And I came across the standard V-pick small pointed. I bought a kind of selection box that you can get of different small pointed, a medium rounded, a large pointed, large rounded, and a screamer, which are all sort of similar thickness but different sizes and different corners. And this one is the one that I decided was the one that fitted me best. So I've now allegedly got 8 of these, although there seems to be some mystic force in the universe in operation where I can never find more than 6 at any one time. Up until Friday I thought I could only find 5, but I found a 6th on Friday. Now what this is immensely thick. I don't know how thick, it's about 3mm or something like that. There's no give at all, and it does give you a slightly odd kind of chirpy sound when you hit the strings, that initially I didn't particularly like, but I discovered that playing live, that really helps your notes stand out. As I say, no flex. Maybe I need to turn that echo down. Anyway, this pick has become my pick. As I say, it's just the standard clear V-picks, small pointed. They do different thicknesses. They do 2 in between this one and the ultralight, but this was the one that I went for. So that's kind of my tone quest over in terms of plectrums. What suits my sound? You may or may not have heard too much difference. It's always difficult to tell what YouTube is going to pick up in terms of the sound of the different picks. But at the end of the day, the thing to think about when you're thinking about tone is, if it makes you play better, it makes you sound better. If there's anything else that if you don't take anything else from this tone journey, take that. If it makes you play better, it'll make you sound better. This makes me play better, so it makes me sound better. So here we have this pick. You might just be able to hear the kind of chirp that's on the attack of each note. It just helps it cut through, particularly in a live situation when you've got all kinds of mud going on. Yeah, love this pick. Also good for playing bass, I've discovered. Although, perhaps a little bit much for playing bass. I tend to switch. I play a lot of bass, and I tend to switch between playing with my fingers and playing with a pick, depending on the song. Sometimes, to get a closer tonal variation, I want something that's a little bit thinner, a little bit more flexible than this for bass playing. So, what I've gone for is I discovered the Tortex T3s from Jen Dunlop. I got 3 different thicknesses. I got the .88, which is very similar to the old Tortex picks that I used to use, except they've got a point on them. The blue one, which is the 1mm, and the purple, which is the 1.14mm. And I tend to alternate between the purple one and the blue one when playing bass. The blue one is the one that has about the same volume, but if I want a bit more attack, the purple's a little bit stiffer because it's a bit thicker. The green one I'm not so fond of for playing bass, but it does make a great acoustic pick because it's got a little bit of give on it, and it's going back almost full circle to what I started with the green Tortex, but the extra point just helps you with the articulation. So what have I learnt from all this? First of all, something as small and as cheap as a plectrum can make a huge difference to your sound. So it's worth going out, and next time you go out to buy plectrums, or next time you order them online, don't just order what you've always used. Try something different. A lot of the time these things are only available in 6-packs or whatever, but you can always give them to your mates, flog them on eBay, whatever. Just try something different. Your pick doesn't have to be a crazy expensive pick. I know people who play Red Bears and stuff like that are $30 a pop. I know people who play 5 penny picks, whatever they've got. I know someone who cuts them out of business cards or credit card kind of things and makes their own out of that. For me, I went for V-picks. They're not cheap. They're about £4 each by the time you've got postage involved and stuff like that, which is a lot of money for a plectrum. But at the end of the day, isn't it worth it? Is your tone worth £4? I felt mine was. Okay, so I will see you in the next tone journey, the next journey in our quest for tone, whatever that shall be, in a few days' time. Okay guys, take care, Martin out.